Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. Now I've had this Shadow Barrage build pretty much since the beginning of the game, and I improved upon it a little bit. So it's now the double imbued Barrage ultimate trapper build. That's what we're gonna go with. Alright, now I know these builds can get a little crazy. Like it takes a while to go over all the abilities, all the Paragon boards, all that stuff. I'll try to do that as fast as possible. But yeah, we got old Sucia Toalla here. It means dirty towel in Spanish. So I'm gonna throw up what the damage is looking like now right here. So as you can see, we're doing a ton more damage than we were before. We're hitting 20 and 30,000. So this build focuses on Shadow Imbuement, Ice Imbuement to chill and freeze the enemies, Vulnerability, huge, and Traps. Now I see a lot of people doing like arrow builds, you know, Penetrating Shot, Barrage, and they kind of just focus on that. And I kind of want, like, I like using traps. Like I'm huge with the traps, like the ultimate trap, the death trap, sucks them in, I poison them, I suck them in, or I suck them in and I poison them, and then I just start fucking going ham with cold and shadow imbue, and then it's so much going on. It's pretty cool. I'm pretty happy with it. The only problem is right now, since I just switched my build, I need more survivability. That is the problem with this. And since you're kind of going to be standing right in the middle just spraying arrows and just ricocheting off everything, you kind of need to be a little bit of a tank. So I'm still working on getting Paragon points so I can get my armor up, or resistance to close enemies, or resistance to enemies that are my traps, stuff like that. So keep that in mind when you look at this build, that it's not complete in that sense, because you will get one shot and you will die if you're doing ancestral nightmare sigils, but it helps if you just kind of evade and roll around a lot, because I got rid of dash, which was my leg. Take it out of there, but now I just kind of gotta drop evade, you know, spray. But anyway, look, we're gonna go into the abilities first. The skill tree. Up at the top we have Puncture. Now with Puncture I have Enhanced Puncture and Fundamental Puncture. Barrage, of course, with Enhanced Barrage and Improved Barrage. So Barrage ricochet chances increased to 100% for arrows that damage a vulnerable enemy, which is huge. All right, every third cast Barrage makes enemies vulnerable as well. So we have that going on. I don't think I have anything else up there. I do have the Weapon Mastery rank 3. I got rid of the agility skills, not using them. And of course I have Poison Trap. Right now we're at 42,414. Poisoning damage over 9 seconds. Can have 4 traps at once. So I have that. I have Enhanced Poison Trap and Subverting Poison Trap. Now this also knocks down enemies for 1.5 seconds when it activates. Now I was in a nightmare dungeon, and it gave me this ability to where every time I rolled, I evaded, it dropped poison. Now I have yet to see that on a piece of armor, a weapon, anything, but once I find that, that's gonna make this build even better, because you can just every time you evade, you're also dropping poison. So that's gonna be huge if I can ever find that. Haven't come across it yet. Just a little perk in a dungeon. So I have 3 ranks of Consuming Shadows and Shadow Crash. This is for energy management, because Barrage goes through it super quick. Shadow Imbuement. Okay, your next 2 imbuable skills deal shadow damage, infect enemies for 6 seconds. If they die, okay, 4,892 damage to all surrounding enemies. Now we also have Enhanced Shadow Imbuement and Blended Shadow Imbuement. So basically, Shadow Imbuement's primary explosion, if you kill them while they're imbued with this, it makes enemies in the vicinity that get hit with it vulnerable for 2 seconds. So as you can see, this is a ton of vulnerable damage. Like, that's what we're banking on here. And then I switched out to this Cold Imbuement. So we're chilling and freezing enemies, and this also counts. God, my computer is just freaking out. So we also switched to cold imbuement, and this also gives us crowd control now because chill and freeze is considered crowd control. I have enhanced cold imbuement and mixed cold imbuement on that. Of course, I have death trap with prime death trap and supreme death trap. Do I have anything else over here? Yeah, I have deadly venom rank 3. So with those, and then I have aftermath rank 3. I've got one on adrenaline rush so I could reach the haste, because this I feel is pretty darn important. And then I'm running exposure just because, like, I still like the traps. The traps are bread and butter. When you get them all in the trap and poison them and then you let loose with the arrows, that's when you're doing the most damage, and it gets pretty crazy. Now Paragon, and we are using the preparation specialization just because it resets the cooldowns of all our other skills, and that's pretty big. It's pretty damn big. So Paragon, once I get another board, I think I'm gonna go with, what was it? I think it was cheap shot. Yeah, because it's crowd controlled enemies, and since we have the ice now, that's what's going on. So I have we got the first board here. I finally leveled my glyph up to 15, so the range is boosted. Now I just have to get the other 2 intelligence that I can, so that'll bump me another 12% here. So I'll be doing 66% trap skill damage. Plus this gives our poison trap an increased 25% radius. So this is the snare glyph. Highly recommend it. Super good. Ran up 20% damage, came up through here. I put the tracker glyph on here, which extra boost to poison enemies. That's big. I went across, got 20% damage, boost to damage enemies. I came up and grabbed 50% damage to healthy enemies. Went around, and of course, no witness. I think that's what the boards are called, going from the legendary nodes. Our ultimate skills deal 30% increased damage and grant you 10% increased damage for 20 seconds. So we can get our ultimate skill to the cooldown to go down super quick with this build. And this pretty much means you're always, every time you pop it, not only when we pop Death Trap, it resets all of our cooldowns. So we get our imbuements back and we're good to go on our poison trap, and we can just lay them down again. So keep that in mind with this build. Every time you use death trap, everything else resets the cooldowns. So on top of that, we're never gonna, it's very rare that you hit a 20, like we have, I think it's 59 seconds on the cooldown for death trap. You're never gonna see above 20. It's just not gonna, unless you're not in a big mob and you just 2-3 enemies here and there. Probably won't reset as fast, but this pretty much means you're always going to get that 10% increased damage, which is huge. It pops up down on the toolbar, like where, you know, your potions and all that the buffs are. So like I said, there's a couple things here I'm probably going to go and get as far as defense wise. Maybe it's not on this board. I think like this one. No, where was it? Like this armor. I'll probably grab the armor. This one, I want to grab this 5% trap skill cooldown reduction, and reduces the arm time of your trap skills, so we can dump more poison pools down. So this one, I believe, is, I guess it's called the Deadly Ambush. It's whatever, it has that legendary note on it. You deal 23% increased critical strike damage to enemies affected by your trap skills, which is huge. So I came in, I rotated the board, and I came in and grabbed 20% damage to enemies affected by trap skills, because that's huge, because again, we're always going to have our traps down. We're always going to be just banking off of that and vulnerable, so the more damage you can do, the better. I went and put the ambush glyph on here. We still haven't met the requirements. I got to work on that. Obviously damage to enemies affected by trap skills. Again, I came up, obviously got the deadly ambush, and then I just got this, which we still have another 10% trap skill damage we can get out of this. So all in all right there, that is I think it's 25 and then plus this, so we got 55% trap skill damage on this, and then plus 10 damage on enemies affected by trap skills. So you can see where this is going. It's just huge damage, huge numbers. And like I said, that's where I'm at with the Paragon board. I'm level 70. I think I'm still missing 8 points from completing like all the side quests and stuff. But like I said, you're gonna need armor, you're gonna need some percentage to help you with defense, because you're pretty squishy at this stage in the game. So as far as our equipment goes, this is what we got. I'm using the you gain increased armor for 4 seconds with dealing form of damage, stack up to 25%. You know, obviously eventually we'll get to 50%. I have damaging an elite enemy grants you a barrier, which all these you can find in the aspects and the codex. No big deal there. This is the one I want to swap out because, like I said, this, we don't use the shadow clone, and like it pops up and like it never does anything. So I'm waiting for a good set of gloves so I can switch this out. And then this makes your ultimate trap even better. Unless it hits a boss or player, Death Trap will continue to rearm itself until it kills an enemy. However, Death Trap's cooldown is increased by 18%. We're close to that 15%. It's not bad. Like I said, I think it's at instead of 50, it's at 59%. But with everything you have with this build, it gets reduced pretty quickly. With everything, so I think it's when Death Trap kills enemies, it drops by 4 seconds, and then there was something else we have that drops it pretty big. But that's huge because when you're doing these ancestral nightmare dungeons and you drop your trap and it doesn't kill somebody, it just respawns and it'll keep going. Like especially the elites, when you got like 1 or 2, 3 elites, it just keeps going, and you're just banking off that. It's pretty wild. So that's a good one to have. It's a sacred unique. That's the only one I found. It's rare to get. I think I've only ever seen like 3 or 4 of these. It's pretty slim pickings. The boots, I just switched this out. I got it from a codex. When you hit a crowd control enemy, there is up to a 30% chance for that crowd control effect to spread to another unaffected enemy. So now that we're chilling and freezing enemies, when we hit them, it has a chance to spread if they're not already. Now you want to go with a crossbow. Crossbows give you vulnerable damage. Now this one's upgraded to level 5, so we went from 40% vulnerable damage to 60%, which is huge because again, vulnerable damage, this build is going ham off of it. I managed to get some other good stats. 36% damage to poison enemies, which we poison. 96% damage to injured enemies, which I believe is 35% and lower. 168 dexterity, and then 67.5 damage to close enemies. And since we're going to be standing there and sucking them with the trap and just blasting the arrows, and then they ricochet and they just hit everything, it's good to have. It's definitely good to have. As far as gems on the weapons, I am running I think that's the diamond, whatever gives you the ultimate skill damage. So we have 30 here and 30 here, so we're 60% on the ultimate skill damage. I am running maximum life. You could run increased critical strike to crowd controlled enemies, but I just feel like some extra life helps because we're pretty squishy. So those are the gems I have. Now the other weapons, I almost switch out this dagger, but I was like, it's not quite good enough because it was a sword, and I'd rather have that damage to close enemies than the critical strike. It was only like 12% critical strike. So again, damage to injured enemies, damage to enemies affected by trap skills, and I put your imbuement skill effects have 40% increased potency against vulnerable enemies. So again, vulnerable, it's huge. It's what this build's based around. And then I have this, which Barrage's arrows have a 15% chance to split into 2 arrows when they ricochet. So when they ricochet, they can go into 2. It's just, there's arrows going everywhere. Now I did, if you guys remember my other build, I had on my ring, I think it was like marksman something. It was like where it would rain down arrows and you could have 5 arrow rains coming down, but like the damage just wasn't good because it was only 3,000 damage in 3 seconds. And like while it was good, like extra damage, like in the long run, I wanted something that was better because it just, if that increased, like if I see when it was like, oh, 15,000 damage over 3 seconds or something crazy, I'd be like, yeah, why not? I'll switch back to it. But I've yet to see it increase. So I went with this. So when you trigger your imbuements, like when you suck them in with your trap and then you pop your freeze imbuement, it chills the enemies that are in a little radius around you. And then when you do shadow, it hits them with the shadow. So I feel like that's pretty good to have. The other ring, I have killing a vulnerable enemy grants you 50% increased energy regeneration for 4 seconds. I feel like that's good because Barrage, you can blow through your energy super quick with that. I've seen another aspect that was something like 70 or 75%, something with chilled enemies. I haven't seen it yet. I've only seen it on builds online. So as soon as I find that, I honestly, I might get rid of this, depending. I have to check my resource management. And then I just got this. You take, of course, it's on the low end, 22.5% less damage from crowd controlled enemies. Whenever crowd controlled enemy deals direct damage, you gain 50% movement speed, which the chill and freezes are crowd control now. So yeah, that's the build that I have. Like I said, you're gonna need a little bit of survivability, crank up the armor a bit, but all in all, this, I don't know why, but that cold imbuement hits so much harder. So it was a good move getting rid of dash for that. But yeah, bopping back and forth between freeze and shadow imbuement and popping your traps and poison, and it melts them pretty quick. It's pretty impressive. I know a lot of people love the twist and blades and stuff, but I just love shooting arrows, man. But I apologize, for whatever reason my PC can't handle the game even just sitting here. It has, every once in a while it'll be fine, no stutters, no lag, and then it's like encoder overloaded and it's all wonky. So apologize for that, but you boys know the drill. Subscribe, come back, check out other content, and I will see you on the next one.